Haha! Hello and welcome. I'm Zombie Kitty and welcome to a Frightfest vlog. So I did one of these last year for the first time. Oh god, I apologise if this is really echoey. I've got the aircon on as well, so I apologise if you can hear that too. But yeah, I did one of these last year, which, if you remember, ended with me getting the bad virus. Whoopsie. But I wanted to do another one again. This is really weird. I'm kind of filming things backwards. So even though I'm filming the intro, today was the last day of the festival. So at the time that I'm recording this, the festival is done. But I did film a few things, not much, but just a few things. And then, so what I'll do is I will show you those clips now. And then afterwards, I will go through the films that I watched. Oh yeah, if you don't know what Frightfest is, it's a horror film festival in London. I've been volunteering there since 2016, so because of that, I didn't get to see many films this year, but the couple that I did watch, I want to go through, I'll talk about. So, yeah, welcome to my Frightfest vlog. Okay, so it's actually the day after Frightfest is finished. Yes, I'm filming this in a really weird order. It's, again, very, very echoey, so I do apologise for that. But yeah, this year was really fun. I mean, I always love volunteering at Frightfest anyway. And this year was really, really fun. Despite only being in one cinema this year compared to two, it mostly ran smoothly. I think there was only problems with like 2 screenings or something, and that wasn't even like a major thing or anything from what I heard. So it went really, really well, and it was really enjoyable again this year. So obviously they've got me now. I'll definitely be back next year. I think I mentioned in the intro that because I was volunteering, I didn't get to see a lot of films. So the ones that I did see, I saw 2 documentaries and I saw 2 of the short film showcases. So the first one that I saw was the J-horror virus. So this was a documentary on the J-horror movement in the early 2000s. So that's Japanese horror, so Ringu, Ju-on the Grudge, Dark Water, Pulse, One Miss Call was another one. So it was all to do with the history of that and actually how it's been perceived sort of around the world, as well as, you know, with the introduction of the remakes and stuff like that, and how it shaped horror, essentially. It was really, really interesting, and actually, because I really loved the J-horror films as well, Ju-on and One Miss Call being 2 of my favourite horror films. So I really, really enjoyed it. And it was really, really interesting actually as well. There's a few things that I didn't know. So Ringu didn't start the whole J-horror movement. It actually started a lot earlier, but Ringu was when it kind of became more like the rest of the world became aware of it. Yeah, it was really, really interesting. I will say that I think it needed some more like background music. There was a lot of scenes where obviously with a documentary you'll have interviews and stuff, which those were really interesting as well. But there was a lot of times where it was like silent, and I felt like it just needed that kind of, you know, it just needed something there to sort of fill the silence. Aside from obviously the talking, it sort of needed, it sort of needed to fill just it sort of just needed a bit more background music and sounds and stuff. But the transitions are really cool, because it starts off as if you're watching the Ringu tape. So it goes through all these like really weird images that the cursed video has, or similar to that. But those are the transitions to go into like the next topic of the documentary, which I really, really liked. It was really cool. So the next thing I saw was the short film showcase. This was the first one. This is the first time I've actually done this, because I'm usually working when the short films are on. So I definitely took advantage of the fact that I could see them this year. So the first one, I don't think I'm going to go through all of them, because they show like an hour and a half worth of films. And some of them range, I think the longest one in this showcase was about 10 minutes. So that really shows you sort of how many are in these showcases. The ones that, I mean, they were all amazing in this showcase. They were all really amazing. The only two exceptions was, what was the first one called though? Where it was more of a comedy than a horror, to be honest. It was more of a comedy, like drama. But the build-up was really well done. Cafe Cicatrice, I think it was called. I'll write it down here. I think that's what it was called. But it was a black and white short film between these two people who meet up for a date. It's still the pandemic, so people are still wearing like face masks and stuff. But they've been allowed to meet outside during all of this. And they sort of start talking and stuff, and the guy has chosen the location. He's saying, oh, it's to do with, you know, this guy opened up this cafe for people who have abnormalities or who are a bit strange, because he wanted to feel like, you know, people, even if you have like a weirdness about you, you should feel welcome in this world. And it started off really interesting, and I thought he was going to have like, I don't know, a really like horrific scar or something underneath his mask. The build-up was really good, the acting and the writing was really good. The punchline and the reveal of what he has was where I was like, oh, okay, it just wasn't, for me, it wasn't my humour, because it did end up being a funny thing. It wasn't like a horror thing at all. I won't say what it is, by the way, sorry, but I'm not going to, in case people do want to go watch it. But it wasn't my humour personally, but it was very well written, it was very well acted, the build-up was really well done, and even the reveal was really well done, and the ending was well done as well. But it just wasn't really my humour personally. But that doesn't mean it was bad, it just wasn't for me. The second one that I did actually have to walk out of, again, this was very well written. I think I walked out about halfway through it. From what I saw, it was very well written, very well acted. It stressed me out too much. So this one was called Tiny Things. Essentially, it's a couple go on holiday to a cabin by a river, and a fly climbs into this guy's ear, into the boyfriend's ear or partner's ear, and there we go. Now he has to try and figure out how to get it out. I really don't like things going in ears, obviously aside from earbuds, but I don't really like the idea of tiny things that can crawl into your ear to the point where they can go too far down. I really don't like that. So again, this was another one where it was like, the short wasn't bad, but it was very well written, it was very well acted. The concept is really interesting, especially for like a horror thing. But it stressed me out too much. I did have to walk out of that one, unfortunately. But I think that really shows that, like, horror doesn't have to be like gore or the paranormal. You know, horrors can just be, oh, you've got something stuck there and now you're scared you can't get it out. You know, something stuck in your ear or stuck up your nose or something and you can't get it out. So it actually fit really well here because it was technically another type of fear. But yeah, that one started stressing me out quite a lot. So I did have to leave, unfortunately. But I did come back in to finish off the showcase. I think what I'll do is I'll say what my favourite ones are instead, because otherwise I'll be going through all of them for ages. So my favourite ones were The Critic, which was the first one that showed on Showcase 1. So this is a really bitter, arrogant, slightly snobbish film critic, goes to the cinema and gets his comeuppance, gets a punishment. That one was really funny. It sort of used that trope of, like, when a character sees, like, a figure in, like, a photograph or film or something that's not supposed to be there. They took that concept and used it for comedic effect, which was really good. And even at the end, it kind of goes a bit meta. But that was really good as well. What was the other one? You're Out, which I think will probably be my favourite one because I absolutely loved that. It was essentially it seemed like a reenactment of the opening scene of Scream with Drew Barrymore and that whole sequence. It seemed like a reenactment of that, but it's a guy who is in denial of his sexuality, and he gets a phone call from someone saying they're going to threaten to out him to his parents because he hasn't told his parents yet. And then, again, I'm not going to spoil it because I do want you guys to watch these for yourselves. So I'm not going to spoil it, what actually happens in these shorts and what happens at the end and stuff. But what that short was doing and what it was trying to do and what the symbolism was, I really, really enjoyed it. I really loved it. I think it was the director or writer for that short was in attendance, but unfortunately, I never found him. I was going to try and meet him to say how much I liked his short, but I unfortunately just didn't get to see him, which is a shame. But no, I absolutely loved that one as well. And then the other one that I really enjoyed was Here to Stay, which Here to Stay is to do with a guy who, in a drunken sort of mood, leaves his friend's funeral or the funeral of his friend, goes home, and something follows him back. This one started off because with these showcases, like, so you're not going to get ones where you'll enjoy every single one. You know, there will be ones where you'll be like, okay, well, you know, it's not my thing. And I really thought, sorry, the camera's wobbling, my arms are getting tired. But I really thought this was going to be the one where I was like, okay, I'm not really feeling this one. Because it does start off a bit slow. And I wasn't really ready for that. But this one ended up being terrifying. There was some imagery in this short that I will not forget. God. If you've seen the film Smile, that kind of creepiness. Just to give you an idea. Again, not going to say anything else aside from the plots. But yeah, if you've seen Smile, it's down that road of creepiness. Yeah, that one was terrifying, and I think I screamed at one point. To be fair, there was another short that showed called After Hours, again in the same showcase, to do with a security night guard. And there's a creature in the shop that he overlooks. And people screamed at the end of that one as well. But those ones were my favourite ones. There was a couple that I didn't like is the wrong word. Wasn't my thing, maybe, is a better word to use, because I don't think they were bad. It just, again, yeah, wasn't my thing, wasn't down my road kind of thing. So, yeah. But that was the showcase one. The third film I went to see was Wreck, Terror Without Pause. So this is a documentary on the making of REC, so REC. So it's the Spanish found footage horror, which again, one of my favourite films. I'm really glad I got to see this. So this was to do with like the making of the film, and again the impact of the film across the world and how it was received, and then they went to the remake and the sequels. So it was a really, really good documentary, actually. I really, really enjoyed this one, and it was amazing to learn sort of how complicated the filming process of this film was, but also at the same time how quickly things had to be done. Really, really interesting documentary. If you like the film REC, or I guess even Quarantine, which was the American remake, I would really recommend watching this. But yeah, that one was a really good documentary as well. I really enjoyed that. I should also keep remembering to take my tripod with me. My arms are hurting so much. But I keep forgetting to pack my tripod with me. I need to do that for future reference. But the last thing I went to see was, again, another short film showcase. So this was number 3. I missed showcase 2 because, again, I think it was during when I was volunteering, so I wasn't able to go to it. This one was good. There were, some strong ones. I think, for me personally, I think Showcase 1 has a lot more memorable shorts, aside from the last short in number 3. But there were a few that I did like, actually, as well. So, Inhabit, which was the very first one they showed at Showcase 3. So this is literally a minute long. A guy is sorting out the attic of a house he just moved into, and there's something up there. Again, the final sort of like scare, I screamed very loudly. I didn't mean to, but I wasn't expecting it. But that was a really good one. Hack, which was the short afterwards, was really funny. And I think that was a good sort of like, like a relief kind of break, really, after the initial scare of the first short. But that was like a gory sort of horror comedy. That was really funny, though. But yeah, very gory. But that was to do with a couple, and whose parents was it? I think the woman's parents around a dinner table, and it kind of goes, I can't really say anything else with that one without spoiling it, but it goes off from there. Just remember that hack also means to hack and slash something. Because I thought it was to do with a computer hack or with a life hack or something, but it's not. My dreams have been dark of late. So this was to do with a knight who ends up being at mercy with the suit of armour that he's wearing. This one was really good. This was essentially, we're watching someone slowly die from their possessed suit of armour. Like, that's what it was, but it was really well done and really quite creative. Another one I liked was called Murder. So this was a black and white short where a guy sees an injured crow on his windowsill on the outside of the building and tries to help it. That was a really good one, and actually the way that it was shot was really cool because it was in black and white, but it also, like, the aspect ratio, so like the size of the screen, the frame, was very, very different than, it wasn't in 1080p, it was like a different aspect ratio, but it looked really, really nice. It was really cool. But that was a really good short as well. Trial 22 I really enjoyed. So this was a group of people are going through like a Saw-like, sort of, what do you call it? Like, survivalist sort of games. So they're going through each room and there's a different sort of task in there. And the room, so Trial 22 is this creature that can't see but can hear. And it's how these people get out of this room and complete this task, essentially. But that was basically right up my alley. If you like Saw or anything, or that kind of thing, or Squid Game or that kind of thing, that's a really good one. That's one to seek out as well. Very sort of Saw-like visuals as well. but I really enjoyed that one too. Before I go in, because there was one that I didn't really like, but before I go into that, I want to highlight the last one of Showcase 3, called Nose Picker. So Nose Picker God, made me feel very sick. Nose Picker was essentially a young boy has a very nasty habit of picking his nose. His parents are concerned about it because he's constantly doing it. His teacher is concerned about it. They get a school therapist to come in and talk to him. He doesn't say anything throughout this entire short film. And with yeah, I'm just gonna say it, with his bogies, he ends up building something. It is as gross as it sounds. It's so gross. It was a really good one though, in a sense of, you know, the acting was really good. It was definitely an interesting concept and unique concept. And it definitely got strong reactions from the audience. Especially once you see what he's doing with these, with his findings, his nose findings, I guess. That got a pretty strong reaction, but it was really good is the wrong way to say, but I guess yeah, that short was really good as well. But I really liked how they filmed that one, because they filmed it, and even the audio was a bit like it as well actually. They sort of filmed it as if it was like an old 70s or 80s short. So even the way that it looked and how people acted, and even how the dialogue was done and delivered, made it feel like it was a short from like the 70s or 80s, which was really, really cool. The theme of that and the aesthetic was consistent. It got halfway through and it started making me feel a bit sick. But it got a good reaction from people. There are a few others that I just want to do a quick shout out for as well. So Bone, which was in Showcase 1, is a very, very quick one. That was more of like, here's the build up and then quickly the punchline, cut to credits. So it was a very quick one. I think again it was only like 1 minute long, but that was really funny. Leech, which was in Showcase 3. So this was an elderly blind woman thinks that her dead husband is living with her still, but it's not, it's some other weird man. That was really uncomfortable. It was really good, but it was very uncomfortable and creepy. I think it was called Vestige or Vistage. So this was in Showcase 3. A boy finds a weird fossil on the seaside and realises it's a key to finding his missing father. This one was really, really good. I really recommend people go check it out if it's ended up on YouTube or something. I really, really enjoyed that one. I think that was the longest one in Showcase 3 as well. I will say there was one that I didn't really like in Showcase 3, unfortunately, which was Paradolia or Paradola. So this was, in the most basic form, I guess, a woman who ends up getting killed by something in her house. And the concept of pareidolia, if you don't know what it is seeing faces in like objects or things where those faces shouldn't be. So as an example would be like, oh, you see like, you know, if you look at a car front, you think the headlights are like eyes, or like, you know, the license plate is a mouth and that kind of thing. It's that kind of thing, you know, Jesus being seen on bread or something. It's that kind of thing. So they use that concept to try and tell this sort of ghost story, I guess. I have to admit this one it's quite a slow one, but I don't really know what I'd change with it, because it did all kind of work to an extent. It didn't really come together at the end really, but again, it looked really nice. It was well acted. It just kind of didn't really hold my interest with this one, unfortunately. Even though the concept is really interesting, like the idea of pareidolia is really interesting, this one just didn't hold my attention too much, unfortunately. So I definitely think that was the weakest one of Showcase 3. But again, like, it's well acted, it's well written, it was well filmed, it looks really nice. So yeah, even though I didn't really like it, there's some positives for it as well. But yeah, so those were the only films I got to see, and again with the showcases, obviously I'm not mentioning all of them because again I apologise, there's so many that show in these showcases that would be here pretty much for hours if I had to talk about all of them. So I'm only going to highlight a few which were either my favourites or ones I didn't like or that kind of thing. So yeah, but those were the films that I ended up seeing at Fright Fest. Again, I was mostly volunteering either because I had shifts or just wanted to do some extra work because I want to make sure that the festival obviously runs as smoothly as possible because I love Fright Fest. So yeah, I didn't see a lot of films, but oh well, I've got the programme to catch any films that I missed. So yeah. But this was, I don't know how long this is going to be, but this was my Fright Fest vlog for 2023. Yeah, thank you all for watching, and I will see you all soon. Bye!